Kanye West posting his record contracts on Twitter didn't happen randomly. This is an artist that has been fighting the record industry for a decade now. For context on why his attitude with the record label has reached a contentious nature, we need to go back a few years. In August 2005, Kanye West sued Eric Miller. From this MTV article, the lawsuit also says that Miller, who helped West record the tracks while he was still a struggling artist, falsely claimed he had the right to distribute the Grammy winners' recordings and tried to fool distributors with a fake contract on which he'd forged West's signature. West is seeking $1.3 million from Miller and wants the DJ to stop using his name or voice in connection with the recordings. In 2018, Eric Miller sued Def Jam Recordings, Island Records, and Universal Music Group for their breach of contract pertaining to them releasing and promoting unreleased Kanye West songs. The more you analyze the music business, the more you realize that everyone just sues everyone at some point. You haven't made it yet if you haven't sued your label or former manager, apparently. In January 2019, Kanye West sued EMI Publishing over his contract that indicated that he could never retire. Kanye West has made the record labels over $100 million from his time as a recording artist and has now made it very clear that he's ready to own his work. Nuh-uh, Mr. West.
Mr. West! Mr. West! Mr. West!
The labels are not going to be giving you control at any time soon. Let's start with this 2005 agreement with Roc-A-Fella Records. In Article 2, Section 2, we see the contract period written out. I found this section fascinating as the contract is specifically for what's called the initial period, and all future albums exist within an option period. My interpretation is that the labels never get truly locked into a long-term deal in this scenario. They either pick up the option, which allows the artist to make another album, or they don't. This contract appears to be an amendment since it's dated April 13th, 2005, which is over a year after The College Dropout was released. The original contract with Roc-A-Fella Records was signed on August 13th, 2002. Article 5, Section 1 just happens to be the longest paragraph I've ever read in my life. Coincidentally, this paragraph includes all the language necessary for the artist to understand that the label will have the rights and complete ownership of anything the artist does. This 2,000-word paragraph makes sure that no wrongful interpretations can take place. Together with the performances embodied therein, and all artwork, and all copyrights therein and thereto, and all renewals and extensions thereof, shall be entirely Roc-A-Fella's property, free of any claims whatsoever by grantor, artist, or any other person, throughout the world and in perpetuity. There is no room for misinterpretation in these contracts. We own everything you do, and we want you to know that. Now to the fun section of advances, where the contract states that Kanye West will receive an advance of $3.5 million as the second album recording fund. That's a lot of money because the next sentence states that he will receive $2.3 million as a second album execution advance. The $2.3 million will be delivered after completion of the album. If a commercially satisfactory second album is physically delivered to Roc-A-Fella by the target date, then Roc-A-Fella will increase the second album recording fund by $750,000 as a timely delivery advance. I found this next part to be fascinating. Within 18 months, if the album has sold 3 million units, a $250,000 further advance. 3.5 million sales will lead to a $500,000 further advance. If 3 million units are sold within 11 months, not 18, then Kanye will receive an additional $500,000 advance. Notice that it's not a "congratulations, you made us a bunch of money" bonus. It's an additional advance, which the way I read it means it's going to be recoupable against future success or future albums. Here's a cool chart showing the amount of money Roc-A-Fella would be giving to Kanye for each subsequent album following the second album. The amount is determined by previous sales of albums. In subsection 3, the contract states that the artist will be responsible for any overages to produce the album. If the artist doesn't have the money, then the funds will be deducted from future earnings. And of course, if the album hasn't been delivered on time, then the recording fund will be reduced by 5% each month. Time's ticking, artists. The label needs to make their money now, today. Now onto the royalties section, where we find out just how little the artist is making. No royalties shall be due and payable to grantor until such time as all advances have been recouped by or repaid to Roc-A-Fella. Remember in the videos I made about the record industry, the term recoupable means the label makes all of their money back first before the artist sees any money. Kanye only made 8% of all singles and long play singles. The way I read this, it's now 12%. Kanye had a royalty rate of 14% that escalated to 14.5% if the album sold 500,000 units. If the album went platinum with over 1 million units sold, then Kanye had a royalty rate of 15%. Since his first album went platinum, they then offered him 18.5% if the album sold 1 million units and 19% if the album sold 2 million units. Imagine watching your album sales grow from 1 million to 2 million and only seeing a 0.5% bump in your royalty rate. Labels generally consider their revenue to be $10 per album, so a jump from 1 million records sold to 2 million records sold would be equivalent to around $10 million earned for the label. An additional 0.5% bump as a bonus is equivalent to only $50,000. Mechanical royalties are going to be important for Kanye as he writes some of his music and produces a lot of his music. Article 9, Section 1, Paragraph A states that Kanye will earn 75% of the statutory rate at the time of release of the music. The royalty rate is calculated against net sales. Let's assume that the royalty rate is 10 cents per song. There are 15 songs on the album, and Kanye sells 1 million records. Each song would be worth 7.5 cents, as that is 75% of the statutory rate in our example. With 1 million in sales, each song would generate $75,000 in royalties, times 15 songs would give you $1.125 million. This is why you commonly hear artists talking about the importance of writing and producing your own music. A lot more can be made on the publishing and composition side. For help understanding this concept, I use this blog post from Bart Day Law. You may also come across people who are wealthy in the music business, but you've never really heard their name or don't recognize their face. That's probably because they were writing or contributing behind the scenes of successful artists and were getting the entire publishing royalty side. Remedies. In Article 12, Section 2, we find what happens if the artist gets into financial trouble. This section outlines what happens if the artist goes through bankruptcy or becomes insolvent. The label will have the ability to require that artists render artist personal services directly to Roc-A-Fella for the remaining balance of the term upon all the same terms and conditions as are herein contained. The royalties and any advances payable hereunder shall be reduced to 2/3 of the amounts prescribed in this agreement. Artists, we're so sorry that we misled you into believing the advance was your money, and if you eventually go bankrupt, then we will still need your services, but only provide 2/3 of the advance money that you'll find in this contract. This is part 1. I will be releasing part 2 in a couple of days. I wanted to keep these videos short as I could and to the point so that it's easier to digest. Making a 20-minute video with a bunch of legal documents doesn't seem that entertaining, so I'm breaking it up for you. At the end of part 2, I'll be including my opinion on whether Kanye is getting screwed or not screwed. These are really interesting documents, by the way, to read through so that you can see the language and the terms that are used for artists. Hopefully this was entertaining and enjoyable and a little bit educational. Thank you so much for watching.